Hello and welcome to the latest Capital and Kayfabe. I am your co-host, JP John from the Two-Man Power Trip. Of course, joining me, the political pundit, the former campaign manager, the author, the journalist, the wrestling historian, Mr. Jack Hunter. Jack, welcome back. How you doing?
Good to be with you as always. Excited about our discussion today.
Crazy stuff going on in the world right now, and I feel like a lot of it, of course, centered around Donald Trump, like it always is. We're always talking about Trump. No King's Day. Give us your thoughts on the protests and No King's Day. To me, hilarious, and some of the pictures that were put out there were from 2017. So even more hilarious reactions to some of this stuff. So tell me about No King's Day.
Well, I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, where a lot of the Burger King franchises have been shut down. So I guess it had a great effect. It was No King's Day.
Oh no!
Yeah,
No!
that was the
Wow!
first casualty. So the political action works. So less Burger King. This is stupid on top of stupid. So if you looked at these rallies, these No King's rallies around the country in major metropolitan cities, first of all, most of the participants were above 60, 65 and white. It was boomer mania. What I think they're trying to say is we think Trump's a king and we will have no kings. And what him being a king means, I think, is ICE rounding up illegal immigrants and deporting them, attacks on free speech, meddling in elections, censorship, right? So when Joe Biden was president, well, let's go back. When Barack Obama was president, he deported 2.5 million illegal migrants. That was more than every president of the 20th century of any party combined. There were some progressives that didn't like it at the time, and he earned the nickname Deporter in Chief. But broadly speaking, the Democratic Party did not push back against Obama or have a No Kings rally. So Donald Trump's at about 2 million now in deporting these people who broke into the country illegally, and Obama was another 500,000 more than him, and there was no Kings rally. That's one issue. Let's talk about free speech. When they say no kings, I'm talking about these no kings protesters. I assume they're saying, oh, the FCC pressured Jimmy Kimmel or ABC, and he was taken off the air for 5 days and they went back on. Something like that, right? Maybe something else. Okay. The Biden administration en masse for many years pressured Twitter and Facebook and other social media platforms, private entities, the U.S. federal government, pressuring them to censor the speech of Americans, whether it was about COVID or Hunter Biden's laptop or just pro-Trump or anti-Biden or whatever. The federal government of the United States under Joe Biden pressured private entities to censor the speech of American citizens, a direct violation of the First Amendment, and not one single No Kings protest erupted. None of that. The Biden administration worked with Jack Smith, the lawyer, who was prosecuting the J6 protester situation, and worked with them to cook up information. We now know this, including spying on sitting Republican senators who are mad about it. And the Biden administration did this through the Patriot Act and FISA and CISA and all these other things. No Democrats had a No Kings protest. My point is these people are full of S. When I saw it was announced, I laughed out loud, literally. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. It shows you how much in a media bubble they were. A lot of young progressives did not show up at this stuff. This is people, people talk about boomers watching Fox News on the right, and that's all they know, and that's their whole world. And that's a true thing. That's a lot of our parents and grandparents, and hell, maybe us. I'm not the, spring chicken. On the left, the version of that, all these people watch MSNBC and Rachel Maddow, and they believe all of this crap, conspiracy theory level stuff at the height of Alex Jones and more, but it's not seen as that because they think it's officialdom. It's what the Democratic establishment puts out. It's on MSNBC. They watch it. They're old, and they go to a rally like this, and they don't see the absolute absurdity. They didn't protest when it was a Democratic president doing the same thing they're supposedly complaining about now. So it's silly, it's stupid, it will have no effect because it doesn't mean anything. I think the main message of the No Kings protest is a reminder of how much these people and their opinions don't matter. They are not to be taken seriously.
Who paid for all these protests? That's what I want to know because it's coming out, right?
Soros and I don't know. I'm just speculating, but there's all sorts of big money donors and stuff behind something like this. It's stupid. We're talking about it because it happened, but it's barely even I mean, I'm trying to think of some wrestling equivalent. Let me hang up on this scam caller. I'm trying to think of. I listened to Dave LaCreca going on, and I enjoyed the conversation about Fortune 4 and TNA the other day. Do you remember that? And I'm
Yes,
thinking,
yes.
like, A, I enjoy this conversation because I'm a wrestling fan. B, what the hell does this have to do with anything in 2025? So
Nothing.
that's
Yeah.
kind of what the No Kings rally will be remembered for in history. It's irrelevant.
It's just shocking to me. And to even go further about, what certain people see, I feel like if you're on social media now, especially older people, you're getting a certain algorithm. Even me, like I have a friend of mine, he'll send me like crazy videos and stuff. So now they're popping up on my feed. I'm like, oh God, so it's your algorithm, what you're getting. So they're not necessarily seeing everything that's out there. They're not seeing stuff, like even stuff that's been debunked. Like a family member of mine will post it. I'd be like, that was debunked like 2 weeks ago. Oh my God, what are they like? What do they do? Like their algorithm is feeding them certain things on social media. They're so far behind on certain things.
Yeah, and I remember as a kid watching Biloxi Blues starring Matthew Broderick, Ferris Bueller.
Yep.
And Biloxi Blues is a Broadway play made into a movie. And there was a line that I just remembered as a child, something along the lines of, if they print it, people believe it. Like if it was in a book or a newspaper, that people would believe it. Well, that's where we're at in social media. You just said that you have some friend that shares every goofy thing that's not true. My late father, who I love very much, told my mom Snoop Dogg is having an affair with Martha Stewart. And my mom's like, husband, that is not true. Like, that's just some goofy thing on the internet. But he believed it because it's something he saw online, and he was older. So how many people are like that out there that just believe all that? Well, we know a lot of them because they went to the No Kings rally. So,
Man, that's so true. And they're like fed a certain thing and they think that's right. And they're not really, maybe going out there. They need to do more research and kind of try to find more news and not just stick to whatever they're being fed on
or
social
just watch
media.
wrestling and quit paying attention to it because you're being lied to, and just realize that, or do something else. I don't know. I mean,
Even better.
this is how I make a living, is working in and around politics, and I can kind of spot BS and know what to pay attention to, and I can get fooled too. I'm not trying to be high and mighty on, but like, it's amazing to the degree that people just accept some things on face value.
I still can't believe it in 2025 that they do and believe it
Right.
and don't double source or don't look or don't try to pay attention. They just believe one thing and that's it.
Right. So like when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was some sort of left narrative for 30 minutes or so that it was a right-wing dude, neo-Nazi or something. I can't remember, but left-wing people I know, and I know not to be stupid people. And, they quickly, because it hurt their feelings to think that like some left-wing person shot a right-wing person and that makes them look bad, which I don't look at it that way necessarily, but their feelings wanted to go to, no, this was a right-wing person. See how all y'all are bad? Like that's where they're at, instead of what happened to this poor guy.
Right.
So yeah, the facts don't care about your feelings. Well, your feelings often dictate facts for a moment, not actual facts, but what's in your head.
And try to follow that case now. Oh my God, your head will literally spin. There's gag orders now. There's new footage of Tyler Robinson in a different spot running with the same exact attire that he was wearing, but not anywhere near the roof, not anywhere near that staircase. Like crazy. It's like, what the hell is going on in this goddamn case?
I'm keeping my mouth shut about it. It's just like the Trump assassination. We don't know anything about that.
No, nothing.
The more you learn about the Charlie Kirk thing, the more you scratch your head. So
yeah, we know nothing, which is crazy. Right. We think we know Tyler Robinson, but we know nothing.
I mean, one of the most high-profile public murders of a public figure since, I'm trying to think. I mean, RFK, MLK. I don't know who's in between there. I'm missing the attempt on Reagan's life. Obviously, Trump's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just pretty nuts. And speaking of Trump, got to mention this because people were going crazy about this. He's making some changes to the White House. So basically there's some construction going on. So I was looking into it, like, has this ever happened before with the president? 13 other presidents have done this. FDR did like a complete renovation. Obama actually put in a basketball court. Yet another president put in a bowling alley. So it's like, this isn't unprecedented. And I actually saw where Trump's doing the construction. It's on the East Wing, and it's like, a smidge of the property type of thing. So what's your take on this whole thing? And why is everybody going crazy about this?
Because they have nothing to hang their hat on other than hating Donald Trump. Multiple presidents have done this. Barack Obama did it. There's a neat clip going around on X. it's CNN covering Obama's renovations to the White House and how wonderful this is, and he's updating it. He's a wonderful man. And then, what they report now, Hillary Clinton, this is our house. This is the people's house. You can't do this, blah, blah. It's just totally stupid. They have nothing to hang their hat on other than hatred of Donald Trump. I say that as somebody who voted for him and also has a lot of problems with his second term. It's not like I'm some blind Trumpkin. That's not what's going on here. And we can get into that if you want. But my point is somebody who has a lot of criticism of this guy, the left, it's not about issues based or policy or right and wrong. It's about we hate this guy and that's all we've got. I know I say that all the time, but that's really all it is. That's the No Kings rally, and that's bitching about the renovations on the White House under him.
The best, though, I love reading the hypocrisy and like the weirdness of like the left and their response to it, even though it's just happened 13 times before. Like I had to look into it because they never mentioned any of that. I didn't know about the basketball court. Like there's a bunch of things I didn't know about, which is fun and good. I mean, it's great. But Hillary, for her to comment, I thought like, oh my God, like that is just, you have no common sense whatsoever. So some guy Buzz on X, I don't even know if he's a real, like, I don't know if he's a real political commentator, but I know he's a real person. But he wrote, remember what your husband did in the White House? You may want to sit this one out.
Right. Let's go ask Monica Lewinsky about the White House.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's totally stupid. I can't take these people seriously at all. And I'm somebody, 25 years ago that sympathized. I was on the right. I was a conservative. I wasn't even a libertarian yet, but I sympathized a lot more with the left of that era than the right, with the Bush-Cheney era. So it's not like I'm, no matter what, just the left is vapid and empty. It has nothing uniting them but hatred for the current president.
It is crazy, but Rand Paul doesn't seem to be too high on the Trump favor right now. It seems like they're a little bit of going to war, right? They're not really, being, I guess you could say they're a little bit at odds right now, Rand Paul and Donald Trump.
Yeah, no. So there's a perfect example of my Trump criticism. So Trump campaigned as this America first, no more endless wars, stick up for the Constitution kind of guy. And many people might remember, this made national headlines. Rand Paul in 2013, I was still in his office at the time, I helped with some of this, held a 13-hour-long filibuster because John Brennan was going to be the new head of the CIA. And he was blocking that because he wanted a question from the Obama White House. Do you believe the government has the right to drone murder an American citizen? The reason Rand Paul was asking this is because the American government had drone murdered an American citizen overseas. It was a 16-year-old kid born in Colorado. He'd not been charged with anything. He was the son of a terrorist. And when a reporter asked the Obama White House spokesman, why did you kill the 16-year-old American citizen born in Colorado without any due process or charge or anything, he said he should have picked a better father. So that bothered Rand Paul, libertarian, and somebody who swore an oath to the Constitution. I'm bringing this up for a reason. Right now, President Trump has bombed more than one supposed drug cartel ship off the coast of Venezuela. Now, Rand Paul's point is we're not in wartime. Can American presidents just do acts of war like this everywhere without Congress having any role in it? When you declare war, you're supposed to go to Congress. We haven't done that since World War II, but that's what you're supposed to do. And MAGA people are attacking Rand Paul. Well, Senator Paul makes a great point. One of those Venezuela boats that were bombed that were supposedly drug cartels, and I have no doubt that that's some of this, right? His point is due process. We got to know. Two of the people survived, and when they got off the boat, they weren't arrested, and nobody considered them part of a drug cartel. So who are we bombing, and what's going on here? My point is Rand Paul is consistent about being a civil libertarian and what we stand for in the United States for due process and rule of law, and he criticized a Democratic president, Barack Obama, in doing it, and he's criticizing a Republican president, Donald Trump, in doing it. That's what consistency and principle looks like. That's not what you find at a No Kings rally. That's not what you find among supposed MAGA people who are mad at Rand Paul or even Thomas Massey right now. Those people are just as goofy as the No Kings people.
Just seems like a lot of interesting things. Like John Brennan, obviously his name came back up. Mm-hmm. John Bolton, obviously he's indicted. His name came up. Mike Pence came up. I mean, so there's a lot of, just seems like a lot of old names from the past, if you will, are kind of being brought back into this. And obviously Rand Paul's the name of the president, really. But some of the guys he was interested in kind of being brought up again that he didn't trust then. And he obviously was probably right of not trusting some of these guys.
Absolutely. So watch Rand Paul and Thomas Massey. You can rely on their good judgment. If they're doing something, it doesn't matter what party the president belongs to, they're doing what they're always were going to do. And the only difference, whether they're on the good side or bad side of most Republican voters, is who's in office and on what side they are, which can change like the weather. And that they can't see it is just amusing to me. And this is all professional wrestling, like whose heels and baby faces is determined by other people, and you manipulate the audience. And I would say in 2025, most pro wrestling fans understand that it's, script.
Right.
And that wasn't true maybe 30 or 40 years ago when it was even more fun, but the same stuff was going on. But, it goes back to my old saying, the biggest difference between pro wrestling fans and political fans is that the pro wrestling fans know that what they're watching is fake.
And the political fans, they don't know what's going on. But it is interesting, like as far as Brennan and Bolton, their names are being brought back in, and like, what did they do? It just seems like a lot of miscarriage of justice, if you will. Like they kind of did whatever the hell they wanted to do in the name of justice, but it wasn't really justice. It was, to benefit themselves and their party.
Yeah, no, these are nasty deep state people who do whatever the hell they want. They don't care about the rule of law or the Constitution, and the establishment presidents they serve let them get away with it, to the degree that Trump, appointed Kash Patel to the head of FBI, and people like Tulsi Gabbard, director of national intelligence, they hold them accountable. That's what you sent Trump to do. If that doesn't happen, then why the hell did you vote for the guy in the first place? And certainly Joe Biden or Barack Obama didn't care about any of this stuff. They just let them run wild. Edward Snowden was absolutely right in everything he said. Julian Assange was absolutely right in everything he revealed about this nasty government that we have that's out of control, the deep state. So, yeah, I don't know if that made sense, but.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. What about the Israel peace deal? What's the latest? What's going on with that?
Benjamin Netanyahu is still reneging, and Trump has not held him accountable yet, from what I see. There's a peace deal. I mean, the deal's still there. Whether both sides are living up to it is the question, what you're asking me. And people are getting killed in Palestine right now by Israel's government, and that was supposed to stop. There was supposed to be a ceasefire. There was a conference this week by Pastor John Hagee, Christians United for United Israel, or whatever the heck. And Ted Cruz had a big speech saying that the reason he's a senator and the reason America exists is to thank Israel. All this stuff. As Doug Bandow of the Cato Institute, an old friend of mine, tweeted, where in the Bible and the gospel does Jesus say, murder all the Palestinians, starting with the children? Because I don't remember that passage. So that's where we are with the peace deal. I don't know if all that melded together, but that's what happened this week. Yeah.
But they got the hostages out, and then they kind of reneged on the deal.
Right. So that part was lived up to, and I'm so glad the hostages are free and for their families. That could have happened months and years before it did if Netanyahu would have let it happen. But he wanted to keep the war going and the killing going. He wanted that more than to free the hostages, no matter what you read in the American press.
Man, crazy. It's like a roller coaster ride, just as far as what's going on over there. Because it's like, oh, peace deal, this is great. He should win the Nobel Peace Prize. And then Netanyahu, the next 2 days, they get the hostages back, and he's reneging on it. Yeah,
and I don't understand why Trump doesn't put his foot down. He's willing to do that. He's done it in the past. Like, he's not. I don't think Trump's on the Epstein list or anything like that. I think if he was, Democrats would already use that a long time ago. So
I just saw yesterday they were talking about Epstein list, and they were saying Trump wasn't on it. He apparently helped them kind of get Epstein, and almost like an informant level stuff. And now they're interested in bringing Bill Clinton in because they said he has a lot to do on this list. So I heard that they're trying to bring him in and talk to him about it. He probably won't do it, but I mean that was what I read yesterday.
I don't other than AIPAC and the general Israel lobby, I don't know why Trump doesn't put his foot down and be like, for his own ego. That's what he's all about, right? Like, hey, I made this peace deal. You do what you're supposed to do. We're giving you billions of dollars. Like, what's the mystery there?
Yeah, he's got to step up here. He breaking what he created. It's just, this huge peace in the Middle East, supposedly, and he's breaking it just right off the bat, 2 days later.
Right. So I don't know. I'm glad there's a peace deal. He was the only president that was going to do it, but it's certainly not living up to what we'd hoped it would be, or many would hope.
A little harder done, easier said than done, I guess you would say, as far as this. I mean, it's been going on forever, but it's just crazy.
It's kind of like the WCW. I shouldn't say this about Life and Death Matters, but the WCW invasion of WWE after Vince bought it. We were like, hot damn, this is going to be awesome. We've been waiting for this. And then, like, it wasn't
It was terrible. Yep.
So maybe
Not what we expected. Yep.
right. Maybe that's a weird comparison. I don't know.
So as far as WWE is concerned, and we want to bring this up because we talked about this last week, but Vince McMahon beat the reckless driving case. Speaking of, WWE and Vince and stuff. So I just wanted to bring that up because we kind of left the air last week thinking like, oh, it looks like Vince is out of trouble. He officially beat it, and he is out of trouble. He beat reckless driving, so he is not going to be in trouble. And I don't know if that has anything to do with who's in the White House, but he will not be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I've had friends and relatives who've had that same mistake in their life, and you get reckless driving instead of the other thing, and it just looks like a case of that. He's going to pay $1,000 in fines and maybe go to some classes or something. But yeah, I mean, when we're talking about Vince McMahon in the current context and possible crimes, it's the sexual assault stuff and abuse, of which everybody deserves due process. Senator Rand Paul's right about that, including Vince McMahon. We'll see what that looks like on the other end.
Even that case, you would think it's like, oh, open and shut. You have the evidence there, right? And then you read Vince's side, or Vince's side of the story, if you will. I know there's two sides to each story. Maybe in essence there's actually three, because there's yours and the truth somewhere lies in the middle. But even that, her case, if you will, has it's like Swiss cheese. It's got holes all over it. It's just crazy, some of the stuff that you hear from his side. So it's like, wow, like this isn't as cut and dry and open shut as you would think.
Yeah, and like I said, there's two sides to every story. From what I heard from her account, I mean, it sounded horrible. All of us had pretty much the same reaction. Like, what in the hell was going on? I'm only friends with one person that's, with a longtime WWE person. And the reason I would even mention that is I think there's plenty of people who worked there for a long time who wouldn't have been privy to any of that. And that's legit.
Yep.
And talk to some of these people too. Like that's not like, oh, we saw this every day and now we're lying. I don't think that's the case at all. And that, in fact, that's the kind of thing you would hide. Even by her account, Vince reportedly, allegedly, ostensibly, would threaten her if any of this got out, that kind of stuff. So,
but it's funny though, like there's more to meet the eye on the story, because when you read it, it's like, oh, she was with her parents and like trying to make it out like she's really young, but she was in her 40s and she was engaged and she was kind of going behind her fiance's back with Vince. So it's like, wait a second here. Like, that's not the story they portray. And then all the pictures of her, like when she's younger, so it's like, wait a second here. So it's a little bit of, like the little political tricks on both sides of the party here.
And I'm hesitant to go there. If she really was abused, I don't want to diminish that at all.
Right. But from his aspect,
this wasn't some 21-year-old intern that the 70-year-old was diddling or what. Like, it was not that. She was in her 40s, as my understanding, her early 40s, maybe late 30s. I don't know the chronological timeline there or whatever. But yeah, some of it looks like, oh, were you cheating on your fiance? And this is where we're at now. I don't know, but I don't want to diminish her if this really happened to her. So
right.
I'm a goofball on the outside reading the news like everybody else. I don't know.
Yeah, Vince, if some of that stuff is true, it's just, man, what a crazy MFer. You're like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. But one thing that he did, as far as maybe a bright spot with the tickets, was he wasn't charging as much as TKO is charging. I don't know if you saw this. WrestleNomics did an awesome report on it. Basically, TKO is charging double of what Vince had charged for tickets. Did you see that report?
I did. And so, all right, going back to nuance and context, people are quick to want to villainize Vince McMahon for obviously, the allegations about the sexual abuse and stuff like that. My biggest problem with Vince McMahon in the last 20 years was some crappy wrestling I had to watch and didn't have much of a choice. And I say this is the guy who gave us the Attitude Era, which is one of the greatest eras in wrestling, who gave us Hulkamania. Props, big props. But another good thing I would say, when Bam Bam Bigelow died, somebody paid for the funeral who didn't want was paying for the funeral. That was Vince McMahon. I've heard of many different acts of kindness and things like that that paint a different picture of a pretty good guy who's also a bad guy in many ways, especially if the sexual abuse stuff is true. The ticket pricing, what you just asked about, I could totally see a Vince McMahon who bought the Northeast Territory from his father without telling him he was going to make this, cable nationwide thing and put all the other territories out of business. Also caring about the working class Americans who helped create his empire and making tickets affordable for families to do this thing. Like I can see that. That's not a stretch of the imagination. I could see also TKO not giving a damn about that and wanting to maximize their profits. I think that's the word that one of the spokesman for TKO used. So yeah, I think I mentioned this to you before. SmackDown was in Savannah, Georgia recently. I like what's going on booking wise with their content. It's 90 minutes away from where I live. In Vince McMahon times, me and my girlfriend would have bought tickets and drove. Where I like to sit, which is sort of the first level up, the first 1, 2, 3 rows, is usually $80 to $120 for one of those tickets. I'm comfortable with that. That's where we're at with inflation in 2025. Those tickets under are $250, $300, $350 now. I'm not paying that. I'm just not. So I don't know if there's a bunch of rich people out there shaking their heads at me, but I'm going to go to AEW shows. So that's how the market works. And hey, and once again, I'm a free market libertarian. If they can make that money and they're selling out the shows at prices, God bless them. But as a consumer, I get to make my own choices too. And I'm going to be watching some live AEW and some televised WWE.
There's the crazy part of the whole thing. So like the one aspect of the report was that the tickets had doubled. So you're like, wow, that sucks. WWE's, they're too greedy. TKO is crazy. Vince was the babyface, all this other stuff. But then you read the attendance is actually up. So obviously, maybe they hit a sort of spot where like this might be the right spot. Maybe don't go any higher because that might be totally alienating all the fans. But somehow, some way, as of right now, they're hitting a good spot where they're actually the attendance is up inexplicably for WWE, despite them charging double.
Yeah, and I think Vince probably priced the tickets so families could come. Look, Garth Brooks in the 90s when the Eagles did their reunion tour and were charging like $100, $150, and people were like, oh, nobody will ever pay that. And then they sold out every show. That's when everybody jacked up their ticket prices. Garth Brooks specifically is like, my tickets are $35. Bring your kids, bring your wife. I don't know how long that lasts. The point is Garth Brooks was saying, I'm a family-friendly entertainer. You can afford to see me if you're a working class person. I think Vince had that attitude. Tony Khan has that attitude. He's basically said that in reaction to the news about WWE's ticket prices. I would think Vince's father had that attitude. TKO's a big corporation that took UFC to new heights. It's taking WWE to new heights. I mean, it's bigger and better. But if they think they can charge those prices and sell out as they've been doing, God bless them. But yeah, I think Vince and some of the old time promoters probably had a different attitude about that, and that's cool too.
The thing is, like, okay, they're selling them at a right price, but right now I've noticed that it's even starting to go higher, like the John Cena tickets, for instance, in DC.
Oh,
I was like, wait a second, you hit the right spot here. Don't move from it, even though it's way high. Like people are still going, you're still making a ton of money, but don't go more. And it's like almost like when you're negotiating, I'm just going to go. Hey, I want 5,000. I'm going to say 13. Let's see how high I can get past 5. Like it's almost like they're doing a little bit of negotiation. You're like, let's see if we do 350 a ticket for Cena.
Yeah,
250,
John Cena's last match is in DC, where I spend half my time. That was the arena that had the first AEW Dynamite. So I was there. That was historic. I was going to buy a ticket for John Cena's last match. I think I said that to you till I saw how much they were charging. I'm not going to that show. It's more than the 350. Just complaining about. Let me tell you what I did see that comforts my John Cena fandom. In North Charleston, South Carolina, in whatever year it was, I saw the Prototype wrestle a dark match before Raw or SmackDown. I think it was SmackDown. That was John Cena. I knew who he was because I read the dirt sheets and kept up with the news. I'm like, oh, this is this guy that people are talking about. I saw that in person. I'm good. I don't need to pay $1,000 to see his last match. I'll watch it on TV. It's all good. That was the SmackDown. This is what I always remember. It was the Prototype in a dark match, which was John Cena. When Vince turned around on the back of the chair, it said the NWO.
Yeah, awesome.
It was that particular episode of, I believe, SmackDown is when I saw John Cena for the first time. So I've got that memory. I'll keep $1,000 to myself and watch it on Saturday night's main event.
Average price for the tickets for DC for Saturday night's main event for John Cena farewell match is $424. Average ticket.
I paid $350 for that first Dynamite. That's not what AEW was charging. That the seat I had was like an $80 seat. The third party scalpers came in and bought up everything, and I either had to pay $350 or not go. And I was going to that first Dynamite in a city where I lived at half the time, come hell or high water. That's a different kind of thing. I even think I told you I got a little teary-eyed seeing Tony Schiavone kick off the show beforehand, just because of my own wrestling I grew up with.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was worth it. I don't regret it. I don't regret paying $350 to see the Misfits at Madison Square Garden. Like, that's what they charged. It was awesome with Danzig. So there's things in life I would pay that much, but not just a WWE show, even if it's Cena's last match. Just know.
So they're having a house show in Connecticut. They're part of the holiday tour. They're not doing MSG because MSG is getting a Raw in November. So normally December 26th, every year, like clockwork, I went to a bunch of them. They would do the Raw or the holiday tour house show at MSG. So I told my son, I was like, oh, they're not having it this year's in Baltimore. Like, that's kind of far drive. But I said, oh, there's one in Connecticut. It's a lot, actually, probably like an hour closer. Oh, let's go to that. Tickets were not bad. They were only $90 a piece for like a decent section. So I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, I would totally pay that. I was going to ask, is the house show is going to be as expensive as
cheaper, a lot cheaper, yeah.
So I went to the holiday show 2 or 3 years ago. They came here to Charleston, South Carolina. I think that's the last WWE show I went to. Cody was on it, took pictures with every single person in there. Awesome. Rhea Ripley was there. Had a great time. Just a wonderful time. And I know the wrestlers themselves like the house shows because they don't have to worry about time constraints and TV and all that kind of stuff. But that's the last one I went to. It was great. And those tickets were like $60 or something. And they were good seats. But yeah, I'll go to that all day long. It's good to hear that their holiday tour, A, they're doing house shows, B, that they're keeping.
Yeah. And the Raw MSG show with John Cena on the 17th of November, that show will be, I forget how much average ticket price for that show was. I think 300, somewhere around there. So even those tickets, the November 17th Raw at Madison Square Garden. So that was pretty expensive too. That's why I didn't want to do that one. Yeah,
no, that's crazy. And I know you take your son, like that's, I'm going with my girlfriend. We're both wrestling fans. That's 2 tickets. And then you got to go pay $18 for a White Claw. So there's that.
That is true. I was like, I'll have one Coors Light. And it's like $19.50. You're like, damn it. Oh my God. I can't believe that.
I went with some friends. Live Nation did this thing where they had $30 tickets, summer sales. It's like this, who can get a ticket for any major concert for $30?
Right. Yep.
Judas Priest and Alice Cooper and me and my girlfriend and another couple all got $30 tickets. You're right. That's cheap. So we got an Airbnb that costs a little bit of something. That's fine. It was in Charlotte. We had to drive, but I like to drink White Claw. My girlfriend does. It was $18 a can. You go up there for 2 cans. We're probably going to have 6, 8 between us over the course of Alice Cooper and Judas Priest. That's a small fortune just to have a couple drinks at a concert. So those $30 tickets really, when you look at the totality of the experience financially.
They have that by us, but you can't get seats. You have to be in the lawn, so you're basically standing, which I prefer. That's what I prefer anyway. But they have that concert week by us, so it's $30 tickets, but it'd be no fees attached to it. So it's a flat 30. So I think last year was Smashing Pumpkins, Limp Bizkit. There was a bunch of like awesome bands. So I did it. I got a bunch of it. I was like, I don't even care. I was like, I'm doing it. It's so cheap. It's like, I can't, you'll never see this again.
My girlfriend went with her girlfriend to see Avril Lavigne with one of those $30 tickets. Yep. And we both went to see New Kids on the Block here in Charleston. Like no Airbnb.
Oh my God. They're still around?
Oh boy, are they. That place was packed. And I know we're getting off the subjects of politics and wrestling here, but those guys are all in their mid-50s.
Yep.
Donnie Wahlberg and all those dudes, they're still cut up. They raise up their shirts and show their abs. The dude Jordan, this was my favorite part. I bowled over laughing. He raises up and there's air shooting at him and mist, and he rips open his shirt. He's doing all this stuff. This is awesome. And the other thing that fascinated me, so there were all these women there, my age, maybe slightly younger, older, who knew, New Kids. There was a 13-year-old girl sitting in front of me. And just so you know, New Kids on the Block have continually put out music since we remember them back in the day. They have albums, and they're playing a bunch of songs. I have no idea what they are. And this little girl, I would guess, was 13, 15 years old, somewhere in there, knew every word to these songs I didn't know. So I'm like, are these old-ass dudes still having a legion of preteens or whatever's going on like they did in the 80s?
That's why they got to stay in shape,
Yeah, it was a great experience. I go back. They played for 2 hours. How the hell I didn't know they had a catalog that could do that. It ended with Hanging Tough, but Yeah, it was great.
Wow, nice. As far as AEW is concerned, just to change gears on wrestling, because I want to bring this up. What did you
Mhm.
think of WrestleDream? Did you like it? Because I know that the fish tank spot got a lot of heat. The WCW Nitro-esque spot where they opened the show with the fireworks, the match already going on, which always happened, or a lot on hour 2 of Nitro. They would have the. So, what did you think? Did you like AEW WrestleDream?
I did, and I loved the main event with Moxley and Darby Allin. I liked what they did. I liked Santa Claus Sting, people are calling him, coming back with his longer beard and hair, which was awesome. He looks like if he was like sitting around going, "Hey, I need to look more awesome." That's what you would do. But I think he's just like, I'm not on TV every week. I'm gonna let it grow out, and it just happens to look awesome. Like,
He doesn't care. Yeah, he literally doesn't care.
right. I loved what happened with Joe and Hangman. That's what I expected. I expected Hangman to retain and to continue that. And it was a big heel turn. He was being heelish going into it, but then they shook hands, and then he did what he did with the Ops. I thought it was a really good show. There's some other. What was the other match that people were raving about that I liked too, and it's just slipping my mind right now. I don't know, but I like the show. Tony Khan does this thing after every pay-per-view in the presser or scrum. He's like, "This was definitely the best show we've done all year." It wasn't the best show they've done all year, but as are most AEW pay-per-views, it was a really good show.
They definitely got a lot of headlines for the fish tank thing with the I Quit match. I know people were going crazy about it, but hey, Moxley and Darby, they got to up the ante. I mean, they got the flamethrower. You got to up the ante after that.
I mean, those two were going to do crazy stuff. I mean, if people want to single out that one, sure, whatever. But they both obviously knew about and agreed to it. And if anybody had a question about it, it might have been Tony Khan. Like, you guys sure you want to do this? And they're going to do what they're going to do. It's like, Mick Foley lying to Vince McMahon. Yeah, I went up on top of that cage. I'm fine with this. He never went up there. But, you get there however you can. So I saw some people doing that too, John, but whatever. Like, it's a Darby Allin, John Moxley match. What'd you expect?
My whole thing was the pay-per-view, though. So if you saw that, you paid for it, kind of knowing what you were going to see. It's not like a TV where my kid was flipping through the channels and so no, it's a pay-per-view, so you can get away with that, even if it's not as crazy as they're saying it is. You know what I mean? But you can get away with it. It's a pay-per-view. You paid for it.
Let me ask you your opinion on this, and it goes in line with what you're saying. You paid for it. I've been one of the people for a long time just like, this 4.5 hour AEW pay-per-view is too long. Like, what the hell? But they keep doing it, and I'm starting to come around to maybe that's what they do that differentiates them from WWE. Like, this is going to be a big sports day for you, AEW fan. You're going to pay your $40 on Max, and this is how much we're going to give you, and this is what we are all the time. I'm starting to come around to like, maybe that's cool as much as it is. I wish they'd start 7 instead of 8. I know it depends on where they're at. I don't know. You have any thoughts on that?
Me personally, it's too long. But when I was younger, I used to do Ring of Honor shows. Me and my buddy would go, and they were like 5 hours. But we're like, we only paid $20 for this ticket, 5 hours.
Yeah.
So you actually, in your mind, you're getting your value big time. So I've never heard a fan complain that they paid $50 for the pay-per-view because they're getting 5 hours of wrestling. So that's definitely a positive for Tony, because I've never really heard. I always hear that their pay-per-views, even when I miss them, I read the reviews online. They're always pretty glowing of how they like the shows, and they were good. So maybe that's a part of that. We won't get a complaint because we're going to over-deliver and give you more than what you asked for.
Yeah, the dynamic on their shows is like you could be watching a totally awesome, but maybe the crowd's a little tired because they just saw 3 more matches before that were even more awesome than what you're watching. Like, that's the grading scale on what we're watching with their shows generally. There's generally not really a stinker. And the show you're watching that people are less interested in would have been like kicking ass on Dynamite, but because the show's so long, but that's the level we're talking about. And you're only going to get that on AEW pay-per-views. So I don't know. I still think they're too long, but I also have these other thoughts that I just shared with you about maybe I do like this. I don't know. And I always watch the scrum after, so it even goes longer for me.
Wow. Oh, my God. Yeah, so for me, I feel like it's too long for me, but I've never heard the fans complain, so it's not too long for fans. They love it.
And their numbers are there. Like, the buy rates aren't going down to my knowledge. They vary depending on the card and the thing. But, yeah.
So, give them another cheap plug, my boy BTZ, Brandon Thurston at WrestleNomics does a great job. He was posting all of the pay-per-view numbers that they have up to date. WrestleDream's not available quite yet. I think Meltzer put out a number, but I don't even know what that number was. I thought it was 120. I could be wrong on that. But if you really look at the numbers, not bad at all, especially all in at 175,000 buys. I mean, not bad at all for AEW. Actually kind of trending upwards, it looked like.
And am I wrong? And correct me if I am. And I read Brandon Thurston's great work with WrestleNomics and all that too. Anything above 100,000 is a success, and then we're just talking about how successful it is after that. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, pretty much. It just seems like Punk, that was like the high water mark, and then they kind of went down a little bit. But it's weird. Like the attendance is down, but the pay-per-view buys are up. So whatever people that are going and liking it, the sickos, if you will, they're purchasing all the pay-per-views too. So like this is good for that market. I mean, they're not losing. Let's say 500,000 people are watching on TV. Well, you're getting 175,000. That's a huge chunk that you're getting. They're actually buying your pay-per-views.
Yeah, and were there like 6,000 people at WrestleDream somewhere?
I think it was 6,500. I think it was.
Yeah, that's pretty strong. I mean, Bound for Glory, they had what, 7,000 for TNA. That's huge for TNA.
Yes. Yes.
So for
Isn't that funny the way that works? Like, oh, we're number 2. No, we're number 2. Well, you're saying 6,500 is not great, but for you, 7,000 is great. So it is a wishy-washy kind of when people say that.
And AEW is definitely number 2 by any metric, but I don't blame TNA for competing and putting themselves over.
Right.
Yeah, I think their business is fine. And, you see this stuff about, is Netflix going to buy Warner Brothers Discovery? At the end of the day, AEW is owned by Tony Khan and his dad. They can go anywhere to any TV or streaming or whatever. Like, it's not like WCW where Turner owned the company. It's just a different situation.
Although there's a rumor, even WrestleNomics has it out there, they own less than 10% of Warner Brothers Discovery, or around 10%.
Oh, okay.
That's a rumor. That's never been proven or put out there. Even when somebody sued AEW, you have to reveal who all the owners are. They, I guess somehow, through the lawyers, they didn't reveal who all the owners were. So very interesting. So it's almost like they might own a small part of it, but I think that doesn't matter. They own 90% of it. I think there's, and if Paramount Skydance buys them, they'll probably just go to them because they have a deal.
As someone who's not an expert on the matter, I would think that if Warner did own 10%, that's a good thing because they have an incentive to want this to succeed and have a stake in it, but also can't make the big decisions because they only own 10%. So it's the best of both worlds. So I hope that's actually true. And if Brandon Thurston's reporting on it, it's probably something to it. I would trust.
Yeah. And if WCW had, them paying them all the money, WCW, you know what I mean? Like that would be great because you get the TV rights. That would be great. But no, they own them so that you don't get the TV rights. They'll help you with production, but you're not getting, all this money for TV rights. So that is like a slippery slope where like, man, that sucks because that's $885 million, like, that they're getting for it. So great for AEW. For sure. Yeah. And that's, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. Both WWE and AEW are pretty compelling right now. As we're doing this thing, I'm looking forward this weekend. What is it? NXT's Halloween Havoc, but also the AAA show. They're back in Mexico City. They're in Mexico again. When I saw it was in Vegas for the last AAA show, I'm like, I want them to be in Mexico. I like this. So what is it? Dominic versus Dragon Lee in the main event. I'm all about it. Yes.
Yeah, and Javon Evans and Leon Slater fighting Mr. Iguana and La Parka. I'm all about that.
I'm in.
That's cool. In Mexico. So
So great stuff there. But let's wrap this bad boy up and head towards the plugs. You follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. How about you, Jack?
You can follow me on X, formerly Twitter, at JackHunter74. And in addition to our great podcast we do every week at Capital and Kayfabe, I just did a podcast with my old friend Tom Woods that I've shared there. So if you like Tom, like me, you can check that out.
All right. Great stuff. Jack, thank you, everybody out there, for listening. We'll see you right back here next week for a little episode of Capital and Kayfabe. See you next week, folks.